All right, in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct a really profound and pretty challenging philosophical dialogue from the permanent twilight of the Soothsayer. It's a journey that's going to ask us to kind of abandon what we think of as the light to find a much deeper truth in the shadows.
So, where does this all kick off? Well, the whole conflict ignites with this really pointed accusation. A character we only know as the Shadow confronts our main figure, the Soothsayer. And that right there sets the stage for a major philosophical showdown. I mean, you can just feel the weight of betrayal in those words, right? This isn't just a simple question, it's a full-on charge. The Soothsayer is being accused of abandoning a life of clarity, of purpose, of betraying the very ideal of light itself.
So this really lays out the core of the accusation. You can see this stark contrast between who the Soothsayer was, a figure of the heights, someone who embraced the sun, and what he's become, a gray ghost down in the suffocating damp. In the Shadow's eyes, this is a clear, undeniable fall from grace.
So how does the Soothsayer respond to this? Does he apologize? Nope. He comes back with this stunning rejection of his entire past. He offers a justification that completely flips the accusation on its head. Wow, what a line. His entire philosophy, everything he's about now, it all hinges on this one single claim. He's not just saying the light was misunderstood. He's saying the very light he's accused of betraying was actively deceiving him the whole time.
So he starts to explain that this so-called enlightenment in his cave, it actually became a prison of solitude. Staring into the light didn't bring him some ultimate truth. All it did was illuminate the crushing silence, and get this, it only served to remind him of how vast, how permanent the darkness really is.
So what you have to understand is his descent wasn't a failure. Not at all. He frames it as a very intentional journey away from a false truth and towards a totally new kind of wisdom.
Okay, so if we break down his path, you can see it's all very deliberate. First, he chooses to descend. Then, instead of looking for another light source, he turns to the moon, calling it the Twilight Giver. And finally, he takes this new understanding to the city, which he calls the Sleeping Well, kind of implying the people there are just lost in their dreams. This wasn't an accident, it was a mission. And this right here, this is basically the prayer for his whole new philosophy. He's asking the moon to bless his leaden cup, his heavy soul which just can't carry the constant burning need for answers anymore, that weight of why that the sun demanded. It's really a plea for acceptance over endless understanding. All right, so let's dig into how all of this builds into this coherent and, pretty unsettling philosophy that he's now offering to the world. And this is the big message he brings to the city, this completely cyclical view of existence. He's arguing that our journey doesn't lead to some higher plane or some final answer, because the first of steps is identical to the last. The idea of progress, in his mind, it's a total illusion. So this gets back to the original accusation, right? Why become this gray ghost? Well, it's because he now believes the shadow is the only thing that's permanent, the only thing that truly endures. He doesn't just accept this idea, he embodies it, becoming the very thing he sees as the ultimate truth. And this all leads us to his final, really powerful declaration. This is the core thesis of his entire worldview, and it completely redefines reality as he sees it. Most of us think of twilight as just a transition, right? It's that temporary bridge between day and night. But the Soothsayer? He makes this absolutely critical distinction. For him, twilight isn't some phase you pass through. It's the very place you're trying to get to. It's the final, true state of reality. This quote just nails it. It captures his complete 180 on the traditional journey. We're not supposed to be journeying through the darkness to get back to the light. The journey is to the twilight, to a state of permanent shadow and acceptance. That is the goal. And so we're left with this really provocative question, aren't we? The Soothsayer is challenging all of us to reconsider our own journey. Are we all just striving for some fleeting moment in the sun? Or is real peace found by finally arriving at twilight and just accepting the permanence of the shadows?